Okay, good morning, everybody. As we go to the Chitas for today, we're holding on Thursday. We're holding the fifth part of the portion of Devarim. Hamishi, we're holding chapter 2, verse number 2. Vayem Hashem Elai, and God said to me, Lamer, Lav Lachem, Savahar, turn around to go around the circle of the mountain. Harazed, this mountain, Pnu Lachem Tzafena, turns to the northward. Rashi says, meaning turns towards the east side of Edom and facing north. Travel from the south to the north. Thus, they travel along the eastern side. And this is the meaning of what it says, and they traveled east of Moav. And you should command the people. You're going you're going across the boundaries of the land of your brothers, so to say. Bnei Esav, the sons of Esav. You're traveling in their land. Hayesh b'seir, that live in Seir. V'yiru mikam v'nishra mer. They'll be afraid from you, but you should be very careful. Take great care. Rashi says, Shmartem ma'od ma shmira. What is you should take care? So the answer is the ma shmira al tizgorubam, that you should not al tizgorub, but not to provoke them. Al tizgorubam, do not provoke them. Ki loy le'eten le'maitzim, because I'm not going to give any of their land. Ad midrach kaf regel, not even from as much as a foot that treads on it. Kirusha le'esav, because it's inherited to Esav. Nasati esar seir, I gave it to Esav. She says, Ad mikaf ragelcha, filim mikaf ragel, even to set your foot on the land. I did not allow you even to set foot on their land without their permission. The God says it, that one day you will set foot on the land. Until the day treading on the Mount of Olives comes, that says his feet will stand. So there'll come a day that you will step your foot on this land. When Mashiach comes, you will set your foot on the land. Yerusha le'esav. Rashi says, Ma'avram, this was given to him from Avram Avinu. I gave him 10 nations. 7 I gave him 10 nations. 7 I gave to you. And the other 3, the Canaanites, Kenizzites, the Kadmonites, who are Amim, Moav, and Seir, I gave to Esav. And the other 2 to the descendants of Lot, Ammon and Moav, as he wrote of accompanying Abraham to Egypt and keeping silent when he said he was his wife. When he said that his wife was his sister. God treated Lot as Abraham's son, giving inheritance to his offsprings. You may buy food from them with money. You'll eat. And you will also buy water from them with money, and you will drink. Now she says, it's a concept of buying. As it says, which I purchased from them. Verse number 7, because the Eibishter blessed you. And all the work of your hand. He was aware of your need during your trek in the desert. This great desert. For the last 40 years. Hashem God, your God is with you. You have not been missing a thing. Now she says, therefore don't be indifferent to his goodness. Like your poor people. Show yourself as wealthy. Show yourself who you are. Baruch Hashem, the Eibishter made you wealthy. Act like wealthy. And you left the king, our kingsman Esav. Hayesh say that are living in Seir. B'derech Arava, from the plains of Arava, Me'elat, U'me'etzion Gever, and from Eilat and Etzion Gever. And then we went towards the Moav desert. Now she says, northward, we changed the direction in order to travel along the eastern side of Eden. And God said to me, Al Totzeres Moav, do not distress Moav, but Tizgarabaham, and do not provoke them, to war. Because I'm not giving it to you from his land. Yerusha v'nei Lot, this inheritance to the family of Lot, children of Lot. Nasati I gave them the sons of Lot as inheritance. Rashi says he forbade them only to provoke Moab into war, but they did not frighten. They did frighten them, and appeared before them with their weapons. Therefore, the Torah says Moab became frightened, terrified for the people of Israel, for they were plundering them and taking their booty. But regarding Ammonites, Altis Garabam did not even provoke them by means of any forms of provocation. This consideration was rewarded for their mother's modesty, namely the fact that she did not publicize the sin of her father. One of the daughters of Lot said, "My Avi, from my father, Amoni, our nation." So, she didn't openly say it was from that the child, because Lot slept with both of his daughters. She was more tznius, more modest. And his sister did, and she called her son Maya, from my father. Ar is the name of a province. Aimim lefnim Yashua, the Ammonite, the Iminim, the formerly dwelt there. Aram Godel, they were a strong and numerous nation. Rav Kanaka, and they were tall as giants. Now she says, you might think that this land of the Phoim that I gave to Abraham, since the Imim, who were also the Phoim, lived there originally. However, this is not the case. As I drove out to the Phoim in the favor of Lot's descendants and settled them there in their place. So the Eibusha showed already the world that he does allow one nation to take over another nation's place. Verse number 12. Imim, Rashi, they are called this because they cast dread, Ema, on people, the powerful people. Verse 12 will say, Yasha Chaydim Lefnim, and the Hadites formerly dwelt in Mount Seir. B'nei Eis Yarsham, and then Esav took them over. Vayashmideim Ipneim, and he deposed them from them. Vayeshu Tachtam, and they moved in instead of them. Kasherasi Yisrael attitude Shasei, like the Jews did gonna do when they come to the land of their inheritance. Asher Nasra Hashem Lehem, like what God gave to them. So God gave Lot, God gave the sons of Lot, God gave the sons of Esav their lands. Yerusha Loshen Ha'eva, this is a continued present form. Shanasan, continuously until today. Kolayman Asati Behem Koyach, I gave within the Jewish nation a strength. That they with the sufficient strength to steadily dispose them. Verse number 413. Now rise and cross the Zered brook, and we passed over the brook of Zered. And the time that we spent from Kadesh Barnea until we crossed the Zered brook was 38 years. Shleishim Shmeina Shana was altogether 38 years. Atem Kol Adayir Anshe Acham, until the entire nation, those that went out to war, B'kerev HaMachna, that was in time of going out of Mitzrayim, Kasher Nishba Hashem Lahem, as God promised him. Verse number 15, Gam Yad Hashem Ha'isabaham, and also the gods intervened for them, L'muhumam, in order to wipe them out. Mikerev HaMachna at Tumam, until the end. It could have taken longer. Could have taken a couple hundred years. It took 40 years. Rashi says to hurriedly wipe them out within 40 years, so not to cause their children to prolong the stay in the desert. And then we came at a time when all these soldiers finished dying. We can't have from the people. And God spoke to me saying after 38 years, but Rashi says, but from the mention of the sending of the spies until now, the term Vayidaber was not used in the passage, but Vayomim. This teaches us that in the entire 38 years that the Jewish people were out of grace of God, so to say, God did not speak to Moshe intimately and effectively, and affectionately, face to face, in a tranquil manner. This teaches us the divine presence rests upon the prophets only on account of Israel. So even Moshe Rabbeinu only merited because of the Jews, and because the Jews were, so to say, a little bit angry with the Jewish nation. Therefore, he didn't have such a great communication with Moshe Rabbeinu either. Verse number 18, today you're going across the boundary of Moab. As Rashi says, from here we see that Ammon is into the north, because they was the south. After Mubnei Ammon, and you should approach and when you approach the area opposite of Ammonites. Don't provoke them, don't bother them. I'm not giving you from the land of Ammon. It's given to light. I'm not giving Ammon for you as an inheritance. I'm giving it to the sons of Lot. Nasati Yerusha, I gave them an inheritance. Verse number 20 added to the Fayim Techashev, it's considered a land of giants. Afida Fayim Yashua, because giants live there. Before Vamonim called Zamzamim, and the Ammonites called them Zamzumim. Rashi said added to the Fayim, meaning it too is considered a land of the Fayim, for the Fayim used to live there. But it's not the land of the Fayim that I gave to Abraham. I'm God of Rav Kanokim. This is a people that is great, numerous, and tall as giants. And the God chased them out. Vayirshum, Amin inherited it. Vayeshu Tachtim. So like I did to the descendants of Esav. Hayershim is saying, live in Seir, Asher Hishmed as Acherim Mipniim, which they destroyed. The Chayim before them, Vayisham, and they inherited, Vayeshu, Tachtam, and they settled there. Ad Hayoyim Hazeh, until this day. Verse 23, Avim Hayeshim Bechatzeirim Adaza. The Avim who dwell as the open cities until Gaza. Kafteirim Hayetzim Kafta Hashmidam Vayeshu Tachtam. The Kafterites who hail from Kaftar destroyed them and dealt and distant. Rashi says that Avim were the Philistines, for they are reckoned amongst those in the book of Yeshua later on, as it says, the 5 governors of the Philistines, the Aziites, the Ashadites, the Ashkelonites, the Gittites, the Ekronites, and the Avim. However, on account of the oath that Avram swore to Avimelech, the Jewish people were unable to take the land from them, I therefore brought the Kafterites against them, and they destroyed them and lived there instead of them. So therefore, they now can take over the land because they were conquered, and now you're able to permit it to take away the land, the land of that part of the land, Gaza, which is today Gaza. Kumusu uvi ivros nachal Arnon, go arise and journey across the Arnon River. Rei nasati b'dechasi, I've given to you in your hand Esichai Melech Cheshbon, Sichon the king of Cheshbon. I'm mighty. Ves'aita in his land, Hechel Rosh, take possession, Vizgarba Mechama, and you should provoke war against him. Rashi says, no, Rashi, verse 25. Today I'm putting the fear of these nations upon you. Tachas kaloshamayim, under the whole heavens. Ashiyishmu shemacha, that will hear your name. V'rogzu v'cholu mipanecha, and they will tremble and be in trepidation because of you. Now she says, Tachas kaloshamayim. What does that mean? How did God put fear of all the nations under the sun, under the heaven? From here we see that the sun stood for Moshe Rabbeinu on the day of the battle of Og. And thus the matter became known and became national, international news beneath the entire heaven. Verse number 26, Vashlach malachim amidbar k'demis, and then I sent people to the desert, into the Simon desert, El Sichon melech Cheshbon, to Sichon, the king of Cheshbon. Divrei Shalom, I sent them words of peace, lamer. Rashi says, although God did not command me to take overtures the peace of Sichon, I learned that I should do so from what happened to this in the Sinai desert. A Torah that precedes Kedem of the world, when the Holy One, blessed be Cain, and gave to the Jewish people the Yossi, the descendants of Esav and Yishmael. And although it was clear to him that he would not accept it, he nevertheless made an overture of peace to them. I too made an overture of peace to Sichon. Another explanation, what's the meaning midbar kedmes? I learned from you who preceded Kadamta Solelim. You could have sent one bolt of lightning and consumed all the Egyptians, but you sent me in the desert to the Pharaoh to say to him, send forth my people, treating him in a restrained manner. So I learned from you that even though you could do something in a second, but you are looking for the people to do the right thing. I allow you me to pass through the land. I talk to Sichon. I'll go through the regular road. I will not turn to the right, to the left. Let me see, you'll sell your food to us, and we'll eat. Mayim bakester will even buy water from you. Mishasisi, and we will drink. Like ever, but ugly. That's all I'm looking for is to walk through your land. Kashasu li b'nei Esav. Hayeshiva says, so you sell me the food and drink just like the descendants of Esav, who dwell in Mount Seir, Amuyavin, and Moabites, who dwell in Or. Hayeshim b'Or, Adash Eves Hayadin, till I cross over the Jordan. El Eretz, I'm not interested in your land. I'm looking to go to the Jordan. I'm looking to go across the Jordan to the land of Israel, land of Canaan, Asher Hashem and Elokeinu Neisel, which God is giving to us. Now she says, what do you mean? They didn't touch Esav. He said, not regarding allowing the land to go through the land. They didn't go through the land of Esav, but they got food and water from Esav. She says this is refers to back to allow to pass through your land. Well, the king of Cheshbon did not allow it. Because God caused his spirit to be hardened. What do we have to lose? Only a money-making prospect. And the Eibishter made his heart strong, and he didn't let us go through. Why? Because now we have taken over the land of Sichon. Ultimately, the land became part of Eretz Yisrael. And that completes the Chumash for today. We now go to Tanya B'Day, and we are holding. We are holding the second letter of the Alter Rebbe. This is one of the classical letters of the Alter Rebbe. This is a letter the Alter Rebbe wrote after the story of Yutas Kislev, when he was freed from prison. Peterburg, upon his arrival from Peterburg. Alter Rebbe sent this pastoral letter to all his followers upon his release from imprisonment, brought about by it was brought about all by those who were instigated against him, Jews. The slander resulted in his selfless and tireless efforts to strengthen Hasidus movement and to spread the teachings of Chassidus. His subsequent release also serves as another approval from the government to him to continue. So these people, these Jews that were against him, brought about him to be thrown into prison. And ultimately, the government agreed that he has the right, which is one of the miracles that even the nations of the world agree with him. The Rebbe Successive leaders of Chabad school of thought have taught that the Alter Rebbe arrest resulted from the incitement voice of the heavenly court. It didn't happen, even though it happened through people in this world, but it was a decree of Melamaila. It was really a decree above, against his doctrine of clothing the teaching of Chassidus intellectual terms. So there was a Gzeira Melamaila, there was a decree above, which ultimately resulted in the situation that happened in this world. In fact, the very word Chabad, naming the movement, he founded, Alter Rebbe founded the movement of Chabad, and the teachings that articulate is the Aknu Chacham Bina Das, wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, respectively. The same voice, moreover, disapproved of the fact that the Alter Rebbe beamed these teaching at Jewish masses. He said, you want to teach a closed group, no problem. Go teach a closed group, but you're teaching to the world. That was a big problem. So they went and they went to the government and they said that he was supporting their enemy. It created a big situation. Alter Rebbe wrote, and then Alter Rebbe was in prison for 53 days. So not with the Russian with the Tsar, this was a treason. Been put to death, chas v'shalom. He was freed. Alter Rebbe wrote this letter in order to be clearly understood that his release from this physical incarceration resulted from him being cleared all spiritual. He said, listen, that this was a spiritual victory. Don't take it only as a physical to create a machlekes between us and them more. Therefore, this is a spiritual thing. This was a gzeira, and we overcame this gzeira, and we overcame this decree from above. And therefore, it was indeed the signal of extreme measure of strength, where thereby giving from above, that the teachings of Chassidus be made bigger, according to the Alter Rebbe's approach of making them intellectual and accessible to all. With the Alter Rebbe's release, it thus began the second era of the spreading of Chassidus. Expression of Chassidim was before Petersburg and after Petersburg. Before Petersburg and after. Two different realities of Alter Rebbe, how he changed the way he lived his life and the way he taught Chassidus after the story of his arrest and before. This is alluded by this letter, which is number Negelas number 2. It will be noted that the number 2 is mentioned only after the heading upon his arrival from Petersburg. Now, the Epistle 27 is also a letter heading that explains why it was written. Therefore, however, the number of this epistle first verse, and only then is followed by the introduction heading. Here, it is inverted because of the second period, the second degree of a greatness, which is alluded by the number 2. That's why the Alter Rebbe, the sons put it at the second letter, because it's like a second time, it's a new beginning. After, and that's why they put in these words, after, upon his arrival from St. Peter. Okay, here is the letter that Alter Rebbe wrote to all his Chassidim. Says in the verse in Genesis, Yaakov Avinu says the following statement: I become small from all your kindness, for your favors, from all the truth. That's what Yaakov Avinu says. I'm small because of all the chesed, which is the same thing, doesn't make sense. The words are uttered by Yaakov as an introduction to his plea to God to save him from Esav. Although God had previously assured him that I'm going to be with you, right? This is after the dream. So that he would accompany and protect him wherever he went, Yaakov nevertheless feared that all the kindness, I'm small from your kindness, that God already showed him and made him made him small, meaning had to reduce his merit. So Yaakov Avinu said, God can promise me, but maybe since God showed me so much kindness, maybe all this kindness is going to make me small. He thus feared that it was possible in a state in which he could be asked, God anew, save me. So he said, listen, Of course, God showed me all this kind. Maybe I'm not going to be have all my merits. This means Pirush Rashi comments that I become small as a result of all the favors and all the truth, meaning my merits have diminished. That's what Rashi explains. My merits are diminished because God paid me already. He gave me all these kindness because of the favors and truth they have done for me. That's one way of looking at the verse. The Ramban argues that this comment is inconsistent with the language of the verse, which states, I become small. Not that the speaker merits have become small, but there's a diminution in the quality rather than the quantity. I become small. Katainti, not that my merits have become small, I become small. What it means, I become small. So the Rambam disagrees with Rashi. The Rambam therefore understands I become small to mean I am unworthy. That's I. So the Rambam says Katainti is going on Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu says I'm not worthy from receiving all your truth and kindness. Not that my merits have become small. I become small. Thus, according to the Ramban, I become small is not a result of God's kindness and truth, but rather an expression of the speaker being unworthy to receive God's kindness. I'm small from all your kindness. That's another way of expressing the meaning of the verse. Now the Alter Rebbe comes and he translates the verse differently. He gives a different meaning to this verse. The Alter Rebbe is going to explain this verse according to the commentary of Rashi. From all your kindness, that it is connected to the concept of kindness, simply means that it was the kindness that made Yaakov fall small. And at the same time, the Alter Rebbe will understand I become small, referring to the speaker. So the Alter Rebbe is going to take the Rashi, he's going to take the Ramban, and he's going to say that they both go together. He's going to use them both. It is he himself who has become diminished, not like Rashi said. His merits became diminished. He himself became small. So it is he himself who become diminished as a result of God's many kindness and truth. Thus, not only have a particular person's merits become lessened, which is a result of his diminishment, but he himself is directly affected as a result of kindness and truth. So although it is the person himself and not the tally of his merits that has become diminished, nonetheless, this diminution is a result of kindness and truth. So the Alter Rebbe is going to explain, because it doesn't make sense now that because of kindness have become small. What's the why? Why does one become small because of kindness? One should become big because of kindness. God shows kindness, he makes him wealthy, he makes him powerful, makes him big. So what is the meaning of Yaakov Avinu that he himself becomes small because of kindness? I can understand maybe your merits become small. God's paying you already in this world, so your merits, tit for tat, so you've done good, I paid you. So now you've lost merits because I've been paid already, like Rashi learns. But the Alter Rebbe says no. That the point is that through kindness, like Rashi learns, the person himself becomes small. Why? Why does a person himself become small? Because of kindness. This is what the Alter Rebbe intends to say. This means Kol Chesed v'Chesed. Look into the teachings of the Alter Rebbe. Kol Chesed v'Chesed Kadosh Baruch Hu Yisrael Adam. Because of every favor that God gives a person, that should make him small. The chesed itself should humble the person. Why? Because when the Eibishter shows the chesed, means God is coming close to you. Ki chesed dari yamina. Because the chesed is the right hand of God. And as you learned before, v'yamina techapkeni. And the right hand of God, chesed, is a hug. When God hugs you, it should humble you. Closeness to God should humble a person. Not make him bigger. Oh, look, God loves me. No, it should humble a person. Because it refers to the state that actually God brings him close, so to say. Mamish, but yes, I say something more intense than before. So if God shows you a chesed, And he says, in essence, I'm hugging you. That should humble me. Every divine act of chesed brings man closer to God. And whoever is close to God, but yes, it says, in a greater, exceedingly close to God, God brings him higher and higher. More you come higher and close to God, the more a person should be humbled in this world. As it's written, from afar has God appeared to me. When God appears to an individual through a particular manifestation of kindness, this should make him perceive himself that he's far from God. Even though God showed me kindness, he brought me close to me, but I'm humbled. I am humbled by this kindness. I become small. I become in distance, humble distance from him. Alternatively, the verse implying the perceiving oneself as afar is the very means by which to attain a state where God has appeared to me. That's the beauty of this. As it's known, all are before him, kameh. So the more a person comes kameh, the more a person comes close, he should feel like he's nothing. So he, as being even at highest conceivable spiritual level, is absolutely no account indeed. It is nullified out of existence when in the presence of God. When it's before him, for nothing is this for God other than himself. Cain, so if you understand this, Kol Shuhu Kamei Yosef, whoever feels closer to God, Yosef Klov V'ayin V'efsed, is more like nothing. This is the concept of the right side, which is chesed. Chesed Avram. And chesed, kindness, the attribute of kindness is Avram Avinu. And what does Avram Avinu say about himself? Anechi Afar Ve'efer. Avram Avinu, who's chesed, who's the concept of Avram Avdi, Avram Oyavi, Avram Avinu who loves me. And Avram Avinu is totally batal. Anechi Afar Ve'efer. I'm dust and I'm ashes. The kindness that God showed Abraham motivated him to attain the ultimate degree of humility. That is a statement expressed. Just as in the heavenly realms, the right arm of divine chesed caused the recipient of the chesed to lose their independent identity. In the identity of the bestower of love and kindness, so too does the effect on mortals upon who it's bestowed, making them likewise humble and self-effacing. And this is also the attribute of Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Zachamim, all the kindness and the mercy that God has showed me. And thereby he justified himself to fear Esav, even though God promised him. And it was not enough for him that God made a promise to him, I'm going to be with you. Why? Because he was humble. I don't deserve any of this. I'm nothing. So therefore I don't deserve. I'm humbled before God. And therefore I'm frightened. Because Yaakov was small, he was insignificant in his own eyes. Because of the multiple kindness. I'm humbled from all the kindness. Because I walked over this Jordan some 20 years ago. I walked over this Jordan with only a stick. And now I'm going across with 2 camps. 20 years I became wealthy, beautiful family. Look at all this kindness. I'm humbled. I am extremely humbled. Therefore, I don't deserve anything. I don't even deserve all my merits. Don't give me the deservings. He was a big tzaddik. He said, no, all my merits. Don't give me because God has shown me such love. God has shown me such connections with him. I'm pashut nothing. that he said, the Gemara says that Yaakov Avinu was afraid that he did a sin. What kind of sin did Yaakov Avinu? Yaakov was a tzaddik gomer. So what kind of sin? Because Yaakov Avinu was so humble. He said, I'm sorry, a sinner. So that's yeah. I have become small. Thus means that the multitude of kindness bestowed upon Yaakov caused him to feel so small and insignificant that he feared that he had sinned, and hence needed once again to beseech God to save him from the Esav. And indeed, every Jew should would do well. To follow the footsteps of Yaakov Avinu, become even more humble with every successive act of kindness that God shows him. The Rebbe once explained why at the outset of this letter, the Alter Rebbe used an expression which the word chesed is repeated, b'chol chesed v'chesed, which means in every single act of favor that God bestows. In general, there are two modes of love and kindness, chesed, chesed. Allah, there's one law of kindness which descends to man within the order framework of the created worlds and become manifest in a natural manner. Number two, which transcends the conventions of the created universe, and whose manifestation is supernatural chesed. This is why the Alter Rebbe there goes to say chesed is the right hand, as well as his right arm embraces him. So there's two expressions. Chesed is the right hand, but then there's a higher concept when your right hand embraces you. Former phrase alludes to chesed as a supernal civilis, a finite mode of divine kindness that acknowledges the finite degree of life force that is clothed in the arm. The latter phrase alludes to the infinite mode of divine kindness that is analogous to the infinite degree of life force that transcends the limitation of being clothed in a particular organ, and thus it's become encompassed, embrace. Yemini tichapkeni, the Eibishter embraces me. It's not through a arm, it's through the concept of God embracing. So the Mash'en Kein Bezelum is a difference, though, the unholy counterpart to the attribute of kindness that belongs to the holy side of the universe, who Yishmael. This is Yishmael, because Yishmael also comes from Avram Avinu, which is Chesed. But Yishmael is Chesed the Klipper. Shmuel is Chesed of Klipper. The counterpart of Avram personifies the attribute of Chesed that belongs to holiness is Yishmael. Personifies kindness that belongs to unholiness. Opposite of Isaac, who represents the attribute of Gevurah, severity, which belongs to holiness, is Esav, which represents the attribute of Gevurah belonging to unholiness. So Avram Avinu has Yishmael, and Yitzchak Avinu has an Esav. This Chesed the Kedusha, a Chesed the Klippa. This Chesed of holiness and a Chesed of unholiness. This Gevurah the Kedusha, Yitzchak Avinu is Gevurah of holiness, and this Esav, Gevurah of Klippa. Kol Shechesed Gadol. So more kindness shown by Yishmael and his ilk. This we see, Taka. The more you do good to evil, the more evil becomes stronger. If you think that showing love and kindness to evil is going to humble him, it's not going to work. It's going to bring him more ego. That's it. That's what happens when you give evil Klippa kindness. A Jew must thus be on guard against Chesed of Klippa, and ensure that God's acts of kindness will lead him to cultivate the traits of Avram and Yaakov Avinu. Avram is Chesed, Yaakov is Rachamim, elevates the Chesed, deeper Chesed. So Yid has connected to Avram and Yaakov is Shapadas Avram. Avram Avinu, also Yitzchak, Gevurah the Chesed, Gevurah the Kedusha. But Avram, we're talking about Chesed over here. A Yid has connected to Chesed of Avram Avinu, and then through Midas Shalemis, through Yaakov Avinu, through Racham. Because he doesn't want gases. He wants that all the chesed should bring about a humility in his life. So the Alter Rebbe is saying all this because he's talking to his chassidim that they shouldn't take this act of kindness from God to become ego, to take it as an ego and to show their those that were fighting as well, we're the winners. No, they should become humble. Therefore, I'm making a weighty announcement because the Yutas Kislev turned into a day of great celebration, but it was a celebration for Chassidus. It was a celebration for God, not a celebration that they overcame those who were against them. And the Alter Rebbe wanted to be sure that it shouldn't become the latter. It should become that we are celebrating the victory of Chassidus, greatness of God, and we should actually become humble concerning others. To realize the multiple of favors, the great things that God has done for us. We should realize the chesed that the Eibishter gave us, that we, Baruch Hashem, survived. So the attribute of chesed, kindness, is also named Gedula, greatness. Hagadol Agiv Vanera. Gadol is kindness. In the verse which enumerates the divine attributes, which begin with L'cha Hashem Agdula v'Hagavura. Indeed, the Gedula connotates even greater manifestation of the divine kindness than Chesed. Gedula. That's why Gedula shows on Chesed. Because tied to Chesed. The Alter Rebbe therefore adds the phrase regarding the great things that God has shown us, thereby indicating the extraordinary kindness that God has shown Chassidim by His release. About Jews, but He told His Chassidim, I need you all to grab the midah of Yaakov Avinu. Lecha is midah Yaakov Avinu. It's important that everybody grabs the midah of Yaakov, which is the midah of Emes. Lecha the midah Yaakov. Katoiti mikol achsad. I'm small. Sha'ar am v'sheiris Yisrael. For Jews as known are remnants of his people. Sheiris Yisrael, the remnants of Yaakov, Yisrael. The reminder of Israel. A Jew possesses within himself the attribute described here as the remnant and remainder. Shemeisim atze, that we should all feel kisidim v'toiris mamish. We should feel like remnants. Shem that there's no value. We should all feel that we are humbled to the extreme. We should never ever take this as a egotistical win. Levilti ram levavam achechem. Let the Chassidim know not to become haughty in relation to the other Jews, meaning their opponents, who caused the arrest of Alter Rebbe. Do not even open a mouth, do not jeer, or to whistle, so to say, to them. Don't show any haughtiness. This is a strict warning. I want to, even though again this was a great celebration, it's a celebration until today, but we should realize that we should all become humble. Rather, the men of our Chassidic fraternity are to subdue their spirits and the hearts before every man according to the attribute of truth unto Jacob. With a humbly, with humility, with a soft answer that turns away anger. Ruach necha, and a restrained spirit. And Alter Rebbe ends off. V'kulei hai v'ulai. And there'll be a second positive if we'll do it in this way, through humility. Kulei hai v'ulai. So, and through all of that, perhaps God will put a conciliatory and loving response. When we'll show those that were against us that we have no ills against them, we're not cheering against them, we're not saying you lost, we won. No, we're humbled by this whole thing. It'll awaken up in them. Maybe it'll open up in them to realize, to have Avas Yisrael. Just like we are having Ahavas Yisrael, they will have Ahavas Yisrael. The hearts of their brethren, as waters reflects one face, so does the heart of one man reflect the heart. And that completes the Tanya for today. Beautiful, beautiful letters of the Alter Rebbe. Today, my friends, is the 6th day of the month, which is chapter 35 to chapter 38. If you do those chapters, you do the chitas of the day. The Rebbe writes on the 6th day of Av, actually, continuation to the Tanya today. The Rebbe writes, the Alter Rebbe, on his return from his arrest in Petersburg, said a maimah for the Mittler Rebbe. Said a maimah, the discourse to his son, consisting in all but few lines. What was the maimah? Raise your hands in holiness and bless Havaya. Su morim einechem, su yedechem al Havaya, uvarchas Havaya. God bless you from Zion. Yivrech Hashem et Zion. Oisei shamayim v'aretz, making the heavens and the earth. That's the pasuk. Raise your hands into holiness refers to the revelation of the emotion traits to the intellect. Raise your hands. So that's connecting the emotions to the intellect and the illumination of the emotive traits by the intellect. And then it says, Havaya, and bless Yudke Vavke, thereby listing the supernal name Havaya, the affected being. So now through our Asursa Tata, through our awakening from below, elevating our midas, our attributes, God responds. And he blesses you. God bless you in Zion. The name Havaya will be drawn forth from the essence of the soul. As we know, that Zion, blood, that's in Zion. Zion is the essence of the soul. Because Zion, Tzion is a simon, is a sign, something that shows upon something. So it's the neshama, the sign of a Jew is a soul. Maker of heavens and earth. And this maintains the existence of world. That's ultimately will elevate the entire world. That was the whole teaching. He expressed himself the 53 days in jail, expressed himself to his son, the whole purpose of his neshama. And that is the wonder of the day. My dear friends, Emir Hashem, today at 10 o'clock, we're going to have a class in the Rebbe Sicha. At 10 a.m., everybody's welcome to come to Chabad or on Zoom. And with the help of God, at tonight at 8 a.m., the last class on the building of the Beis HaMikdash, beautiful class, not on Zoom, only at Chabad, because it's a class with a lot of PowerPoints. It's a pictorial class. So everybody's welcome to come to Chabad at 8 p.m. I wish you all a wonderful and beautiful day. And Emir Hashem, we'll all be together again. Come tomorrow, 8 a.m. Continue to learn the chitas of the day. Have a wonderful and beautiful day.